How's your deal working out? I know you went back and you had an offer and
Yeah, so I've been talking to the agent. Phew, she's fighting me big time. So I tried to coach her, and I agreed.
you mean your agent is fighting you or
Yeah.
fighting you how so?
So I remember, based on when you and I were talking, I'm like, hey, I might be in a multiple of a situation. I'm just painting the picture of what we want to
Hmm.
the picture to look like.
Okay.
She's a little bit hesitant on that.
I mean, did she tell you why? I mean, obviously, I mean, they're hesitant. I mean, this is look, I hate to be like I told you so, but I know I've been talking and before you came in this group, I've been telling everyone in the group how agents are and how resistant they are to doing the most basic stuff. And yeah, it's painful because like it's our money, right? And they're being paid a very, very fair commission to go earn, and I feel like they should earn it. They think they just because they went and did, a 2 week class and got a realtor's license that they should just be able to hang a sign up and do nothing at all and just make a bunch of money. And I'm just like, hey, like that works. I mean, that's what the standard of the industry is, but unfortunately, it's just not really, it's not enough. So maybe you could ask her, hey, what are you resistant to? And is there a way that we can create some urgency and create, an opportunity to go back and or just counter them. I mean, that's why I was suggesting that you help her write it and then just have her email it because I didn't think she'd be able to pull it off verbally. That
Okay,
makes
yeah,
sense. So that's why I was like, hey, why don't you just, I mean, it could be just a short email like, hey, we've gotten a lot of showings, tons of interest. We fully expect that other offers will be coming in this near future. With that being said, we want to, if your client wants to take this off the table now and get this deal done, then, here's our counter, right? And that's all. We're just kind of framing the counter before we give it to them. We're not just saying, hey, here's our counter, 10K more. You get what I mean? We can do that, and that's probably better than not doing it. But if you can just pre-frame it a little bit and have a little setup to it, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just a little setup, it would really probably give it a better chance of working.
and I guess the part of it why she wasn't as enthusiastic about it was she had advised me to accept the offer, and that's why
Just the
now
way
and then
it is,
yeah, after I
with
came talk to
no
you, then I came back
negotiation,
with a different. Go ahead.
with no negotiation at all. I mean, the only reason you would ever want to do that, if you think that they're that skittish and they're that bad of buyers that they're not going to want to have a conversation and negotiate at all, then they're probably not the best buyers to go under contract with, to be unfortunately to tell you that. Because if they jump out of this deal because you counter them, then that's how we find out if they're the right buyers or not. This is very, very high level way of thinking, and it's something I've seen really awesome agents think this way. And I didn't learn this or invent this myself. When I was an agent and first got my license, I went with Keller Williams, and I mean, I spent so much time learning to be a really amazing agent with zero intention of ever really truly being an agent. But I am an agent for myself, so it's pretty important that I'm great at it because like it's meaningful. I have to sell my properties, like multiple properties every month. We got to sell our wholesale deals. So, I wanted to be good at it. So I spent, I mean, enormous amount of time, energy, and money learning from like Gary Keller and really going to like tons of like, they have these family reunions. And I did that for like 3 years. And in that 3 years, I was able to sit with some really high producing agents. I mean, I sat and spent like 3 days with a guy who was doing 1,000 transactions a year. And
Wow.
that's a lot of, you think that guy would have had a problem going back and negotiating? Nope. He's like pretty much the dude who told me to do this. And like he had a lot of the reason he was doing so much is he had a ton of investors he worked with. And he's like, yeah, when I'm with investors, here's how I do it. And he had no fear of like, if we say or do the wrong thing, they're going to leave. I mean, imagine if you take this mindset through the whole transaction, how hard it's going to be for you. Right. I mean, what are you going to do next when the inspection comes back? So you're going to be like, just accept it. Don't negotiate.
No, I agree, agree.
Right.
I think the part I don't even, no, at this point I don't even feel like this agent is like on my team, like she got my back like that. You know what I mean?
And that's okay. I mean, you're learning for the future. You are in this deal the way you're in it. I mean, I'm my 7 day flip right now. Um,
Okay.
I'm in the same situation as you. So someone referred that to me, a friend, and he's an agent. And obviously, I had to give him the back end listing. And we got a multiple offer just recently. And man, I'm telling you, the responses he's getting from people, I'm like, man, I never get that response. And then I realized it's probably just him. Like I'm telling him what to say, but like I'm not there listening to him say it. So I'm sure
Yeah.
he's saying it a little different. You know, you can say things and really it's how you say it, not what you say. And I'm sure I'm giving him the right things to say, but I imagine he's saying them with like hesitation, and people can sense that. You know, you could be like, hey, look, we got a lot of offers and I just want to give you kind of advice up front. Like there's a lot going on. This property's probably not going to make it. If you really, are you guys serious about buying this? And if you're like, yeah, your client really wants it, awesome. If you really want it, this is going to be the best way for you to get it. You know, bring your best offer before we get in a multiple offer. You could say it like that, or you could say, hey, listen, my client, you know, just was wondering if maybe you could consider maybe it to pay a little more. And I mean, you go
Okay.
say that, then what are they going to do? The agent, what do you think the first thing they say to the agent is? It's like, hey, do you think we need to? And the agent's going to be like, based on what I heard now, we're probably good. You probably could just stay where you're at and they'll be fine. They'll take it. Because you empowered them to negotiate against you. So I'm not looking to scare them off, but I'm also trying to make sure I can get them trying to sell me versus me trying to sell them on paying more. Because you know, we just have to create, and it's so easy to do in this market these days because this market is a very competitive seller's market. We're empowered as the sellers. Buyers are
Okay.
not scarce by any means. I mean, I believe there will be another buyer. Every time, I can't guarantee this for you, John, but I can tell you that the last 8 times this has happened to me and I got in like a little bit of back and forth trying to negotiate with the first buyer. Well, usually other buyers come in and then we get the deal done with someone else willing to actually step up, or the first person steps up. And I don't really care who it is. I just want to make sure someone comes back. So at very minimum, I would say like counter them. I mean, if they blow up and jump out the deal because you countered them, then I don't really know what to say. I mean,
Okay.
you know, if
Okay.
they do that, then guess what? You think they're going to blow up and jump out the deal when you decide not to put like all kind of new stuff and do all kind of crazy stuff in the home inspection? Probably not. I mean, they're not going to want to negotiate ever. And if so, that means you could lose like 5, 10K on this side. You could lose another couple $1,000s in home inspections. I mean, you know, it's more money out your pocket. So I would personally like, I would at least counter, even if you just got to be like, look, my client's countering at this.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And like I say, so I think the problem is that, you know, my agent was already on the mindset that it's a good offer. I should accept it.
It's not a good offer because how much help are they asking for, right?
Yeah. So her mindset is like, hey, they're asking for the 3% help or whatever, and
Okay.
they're giving you full
So
price.
that
But it's
is
not full price. That's 8 grand.
6,000,
8 grand. 8 grand.
$8,500, $8,000. Like what? $8,000 not meaningful? That's not automatic. I mean, they're giving you full price, but they're asking for $8,000, and you priced that thing aggressively. You could easily
Yes,
price
totally.
79, and you decide to price it aggressively. So, I mean, at 269, I'm glad you went a little aggressive. But remember what I said to you: if you price it aggressive, you're going to have to be willing to stand in the fire and negotiate because you know what you don't want to do is price it aggressive and then not negotiate and know that you've priced it aggressive. You know, because if you were going to like basically know that you're giving 10K in help and just give that up, it would have been better off to list it for 279. But
No,
you know,
totally. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean the fact that like you know you weren't assuming that, so just say, look, we priced it really aggressively. We have a lot of action. With that being said, if you guys would like to lock this deal up today, my client's coming back here. Let me know if that works for your clients. I mean, it really could just be a simple email, as simple as that. And, you know, like tell her that and tell her to copy you that in that email to make sure she sends it.
Okay. Okay. I'll do
You
that.
know, so you know that it's
So
being sent
I
out.
guess when if Hi and I get to a point where I guess we can see eye to eye, what would you advise? Like I'm telling her this, but she's kind of give me pushback.
Oh, I mean, this is not a I'm trying to think of the best words, but this is not a democracy. This is a
Okay.
dictatorship. You get that, right? I mean, yeah, this
Okay.
isn't a democracy. We're not asking permission. She works for you. This would be like me arguing with one of my employees and they're like, I just ain't going to do what you want me to do. And I'm just like, eventually, unless I can find a common ground, like you said, I'm just going to fire them if we can't find a common ground. I mean, there has to be like, the thing is, we can't
Okay.
create a win for the agent and a win for the buyer while you lose. How unfair is that? I mean, like her job is to make sure you win. And winning is just knowing that you've gotten a fair price for this, nothing more. You don't have to beat the people up. You just got to get a fair price. And I think the first offer is never the best price.
Okay.
So, you know, go back and just counter them with something that's reasonable and fair and just be like, look, you know, and you can give them a little bit of setup of like, hey, we've priced this really. Do you believe in the property and does your agent believe in the price? because they certainly believed in 329 without giving you any shit. So, I mean, they have to feel like this is a really super aggressive price.
And she does, yes, that's correct.
Well, great. If it's an aggressive price, then why are you giving 8K or 8,500K off of it? That's a lot. That's a lot of money to just drop out there. I mean, I'd rather you negotiate that and give it to charity or something. I mean, go help some kids that are hungry. Just because she's afraid to ask for 8,500 bucks. I mean, so you get where I'm coming from. You understand where, like, this is the whole shit that I talk about all the time in these groups is agents are scared to death to negotiate. That's why I don't use agents. Like, I don't have agents go negotiate for my deals. I do it myself. I have Rashad do it because, see, Rashad's willing to step up and do what he has to do. And, you know, and he'll fight hard for me. And I know he will. And I'll fight hard for myself. But you are where you are. You're in this deal. And I don't think firing her is the answer, but it is a possibility if she's not willing to do what you say. And I think you just have to deliver that to her in the nicest possible way. And now that I know you're high eye, so your big thing is pissing her off. You don't want to make her upset because you're an I, right? So you want her to like you. But at the end of the day, man, I'd rather her not like you and you make more money. Because you probably know at this point this relationship's not really going to go anywhere. Because this is it.
I'm never doing this again with these guys now.
Yeah, you don't want to work with her anymore. There's a lot of better agents out there, and you'll probably be an agent in the near future, and you'll be able to take.
And I was going to say, Jay has a license as well, so we're going to use Jay too.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're not going to.
Use Jay because like Jay might be new, but he's still going to do a better job than she is.
Yeah, he's going to fight for us.
This is all between the group, right? But like agents make everyone believe that it's like this secret society and there's these beautiful things everyone knows. Like these days, you put it on the MLS. I don't even put a sign out there. I definitely don't do open houses. You can just forget that. I don't want people dirtying my floors up. It costs me $50 to have someone go clean the house. And you don't sell things at open houses. These days, you price it correctly, you stage it, get good pictures, and it will sell itself. And all you do, you're just taking orders. You're saying, oh, hi, what's your offer? Okay, email it over. You just say, okay, send your offer over. We're going to go, all right, and then you just email everyone back. We're in multiple offers. Bring your highest and best. And then a lot of things I can teach you is how you set it all up to get optimal outcome. But the problem is regular agents don't want to do any of that because they just have not been trained to do that. They've not been trained to get the most money out of their deals. And for them, like squeezing another 8K doesn't mean anything to your agent, really. But to you, it's $8,000. For her, it's like $80 more in commission. It's like nothing. So how big is his decision? I know this guy's putting, I think, 30% down or whatever. He's a conventional loan. Because I asked some of the stuff you and I talked about. Yeah. So she thinks this guy is golden, and I guess she's scared of upsetting him and we lose the guy. If you can upset them with a negotiation, then you're going to upset them when you ask for, not to do all these inspection repairs. What if you ask for 60 items on the inspection repair list? If you don't start off on a strong foot knowing that this person wants it, then you pretty much through the whole deal are going to have to bend over backwards and I don't want to be rude, but you know what I mean. You know what's going to be happening.
No,
when you bend over, you know what's going to be happening, so get used to it. It's going to happen the whole deal. And I don't, listen, it compounds, man. It'll compound over and over and it'll go, it's 8K to start now. And next thing you know, it's like 8K now, then it'll be a couple K in inspections and it'll be like, we're not settling. If you don't do this, we want a home warranty, even though we didn't negotiate it. I mean, I've had all these things happen to me. And if I start off on the wrong foot, it's like, I've empowered them to be courageous enough to ask for stupid stuff. So I do it and be nice about it as the key. You got to be nice. What you're doing is you're creating standards and you're creating boundaries that apparently most agents don't have. Most agents don't think boundaries exist. They think just like, oh, well, this is the way you do it. I don't want to upset someone. Well, no, you know what you don't want to do is you don't want to get under contract and lose the opportunity to sell it to all these other awesome people that are out there with the wrong person. That is your only concern right now is that you get the most money, you get the right terms, and you get under contract with the right person. The right person, because I can tell you how many times when my agent was afraid to negotiate up front and I didn't get the opportunity to find out I was dealing with someone who was afraid to buy the house and really had cold feet. And because they didn't negotiate, I never figured that out about them. And when I found out about it was a week before settlement, 5 weeks later, after they asked for 2 extensions. And there's like, we're just like, I'm not so sure we want to buy the house. And they gave me some bonehead excuse. And then when I really asked them, I'm like, listen, you're not dumping out of this deal because the grass wasn't cut right. People be like, well, the grass was really high and that was so disrespectful. And and we're just not buying the house. And I'm like, you're really not buying, they're not jumping out of this deal over the grass, right? And they're like, and eventually they'd be like, look, my client just apparently got cold feet. And then I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. I mean, because look, it happens. Clients do get cold feet. But the fastest way for you to know what they're about is for you just to create a little boundaries. That's it. Little speed bumps, nothing more. I mean, you have to negotiate.
And I was going to say, at this point, I mean, I'm not even, I mean, I'll say what I have to say. If they back out, they back out. That's what I'm at right now.
Well, and also, John, I actually haven't taken an opportunity to ask you what you would like to do, because really this is your deal. I'm giving you my advice, but remember, it's just my advice. This is your deal. Whatever you feel comfortable with. You're in a unique situation, so if you feel like not going too hard with this, but I mean, if there's like 8 books I can refer to you, there's one that like whoever speaks first loses. It's a great book, and here's what the philosophy, I think it's somebody gave it to me a long time ago, and the philosophy of it is that whenever someone makes an offer and you accept it, they're left feeling like they didn't make the best deal. So he's made you an offer. If you were to accept this offer and not change the terms at all, he's going to feel like he didn't get the best possible deal. So what's that going to do? It's going to put him in a negative mindset. Now, throughout the whole transaction, he's going to come at you and ask for additional things because he feels like he didn't get enough. Now, I sometimes won't change price, but maybe you'll come back and say, hey, I see you have a 14 days for home inspection. Let's make that 7 days. I see you got $1,000 deposit. Let's make that 2. You know, if you really don't want to negotiate price, at least negotiate terms. You got to negotiate something though, because if you just accept the offer, they're going to be like, damn, I could have offered less.
Yeah, because one of the things I've asked this guy, I want to close in 30 days or less. Mm-hmm. So he's committed to closing on the August 8th.
So then, you know, if you want to find the common ground, I'm just going to tell you, I don't agree with this, but if you really feel strongly about this and you want to find the common ground, then just, you know, you got to counter something. Don't counter 10K more, counter 5K more, but please counter something.
Yes, sure.
Don't counter absolutely nothing. Even if it's dumb stuff, I will negotiate stupid stuff just so that things I know they don't care about, just so they can feel like, okay, I had to fight for this a little. You want them to feel like, okay, me and him got in a battle. He said this, I said that, and I ended up getting a really good deal. That's how he has to leave feeling. And when you negotiate, people are left feeling like they fought for it and won. But when they just make an offer and you accept it, then they're left feeling like, crap, I offered too much.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, with that's basic negotiations, by the way. You have to negotiate something. Now, I have a fear that your agent obviously is not a very pleasant negotiator, and that's probably why she doesn't like it. So
I can tell you that now.
Probably someone that's fearful of it, and you know, maybe it becomes combative for her. I used to be that way, so I understand. I used to be like, I didn't like to negotiate because I would get like butthurt when they'd say no, and the next thing you know, I'm almost like kind of argumentative, and it wasn't very like positive or high level at all. And I would just be like debating people, and it would be like, man, he's a dick. I don't like that guy. But it was like, so when you feel that with negotiations, then you don't want to negotiate. The higher level way of negotiations just being so like, it's just clear communication. Hey, my client's in a pretty tough spot. You know, obviously they've put a little extra money in this house. Really beautiful. They did a great job. They priced it very aggressively with the expectation of hopefully getting multiple offers and going over full price. We really appreciate your full price offer. Is there any chance your client would consider, since they need so much help, they would consider increasing their offer to make up for that help, so that my client can, we can know we're getting a fair offer for this based on how low we priced it? I mean, God, how easy is that to ask? That's just nice. Yeah. Who's going to ever get mad at you to say that?
I mean, there was a who says no or whatever.
I've never, in agents, because they're
maybe
really
come
high
half
odds,
or whatever.
Yeah, people, you use that language. You can say, look, you know, wouldn't it be the sensible thing to meet in the middle? Wouldn't it be reasonable? And then people want to be reasonable. I mean, God, I was over the other day fighting over $250. I didn't care about the $250. I just knew that if I didn't fight over the $250, that it was going to cost me thousands of dollars through the transaction. They were like, we want to do screens. And I'm like, that's $250. And they're like, why wouldn't you just give that to us? Well, because it's $250. And then my mom's like, Michael, I didn't raise you that way. And I'm like, Mom, there's more to it. I'm not fighting over $250. I'm fighting over just making sure they know that, like, when they come to me, that I'm going to not just, hey, you want that? Oh, well, you want a home warranty? Hey, here's a $1,000 Home Depot card. And yeah, sure, we'll replace the furnace. It's only 3 years old. Why not? You know, while we're at it, because I'm just making it where when they ask for things, they're kind of afraid to ask for them. So they don't ask for stupid stuff. If there's something that needs to be fixed, I'll do it. But they'll only ask for things that matter. And when I do that with people, what happens? My home inspection list, like my agent, I track all this stuff. This is the part of why sometimes I'm inefficient. I track too much stuff. But for years, I tracked like how many home inspection items on average we would get back. We were averaging 24 items on our home inspection list when I had an agent. Right now, I'm averaging 8.
Wow.
Simply by saying a handful of different things, I only average 8 items because I don't go under contract without saying, hey, listen, we'd like to, when they come back and then wherever we end up, before I sign the contract, I'm like, look, we're close. Obviously, I don't want to negotiate price anymore, but let's talk about a couple of the things that I could really go back and work with my client, make them feel good so we can get this signed. Let me ask about your home inspector. How do you know him? Is he fair? Are your clients like understanding of the fact that like at home inspection, we will only fix things that are broke, that we will not fix wish list items? And you're like, yes, they're reasonable, or they're picky. If they're picky, okay, great. Do we need to then raise the price so we can make up for the fact that they're going to ask for too much? To ask for things, or do you need to go have a conversation with them? And when I have that conversation, you would be surprised because now the agent, instead of saying, hey, you should just ask for it and see what they'll say, the agent now will be like, hey, we had a conversation with them. And one of the things they said is this buyer is really particular. So like if you give them a bunch of items, then they might not do anything. So they've seen, because I've done that to people before. I had somebody ask me for 100 items and then tell me, well, this is a negotiation. I'm like, it's actually not a negotiation. I got a backup offer 10K higher. And out of respect, I wasn't going to take it. But when you gave me a 100 item list, I just said no to all 100 items. And I want to tell you, well, this is the funniest part of the story, which I love. And it really was very true, that and just something I thought would happen, but I never knew would happen. She gave me 101 items on a list, said the father-in-law has to have it, right? Oh, the father-in-law came down and said this house is a piece of crap and all that. And I was like, okay, great. We inspect things. Our houses are not that bad ever. In no scenario. But 101 items, I say no to everything because I'm like, we have a higher offer. We're just going to say no to everything and accept the higher offer. Guess what they came back and said? Would you at least fix the shingles on the roof? That was all they said to me. And guess what I said? No. They said, if you'll just do the shingles on the roof, we'll get the other 100 items we'll get rid of. And I was like, at this point, no. You shouldn't have came back. You should have coached your client not to come with the 101 item list. It's just period. I mean, I consulted with someone else. The next person had a 7 item list, and I made 10 extra grand. And I don't never do that because I'm a guy that likes to do the right thing first. But when someone does that, I don't think they're acting in good faith. That was totally them not acting in good faith when they asked for 100 and some items, and that someone should have coached them away from that. It's the agent's responsibility to say, hey, if you ask somebody to do 100 items, you're going to blow this deal up. Like you need to. So what we're doing, John, is she's going to be, obviously the next piece of this is making sure your home inspection goes good, making sure you have the right mortgage guy. It sounds like they're very well qualified, but everyone is, by the way. I mean, I have to just be upfront with you. Like every offer I get these days are people who are well qualified. I mean, I'm getting all kind of cash offers, VA offers, all kind of offers. And really it don't matter if it's FHA. If you can get 10 extra grand, would you go in an FHA offer? I mean, I just prefer more money, honestly.
Yeah.
Everyone can settle in 30 days right now, So anyhow, with that being said, man, negotiate something, up to you. I'd love to hear what the feedback is. Even if you got to, I'm giving you some alternatives here to go a little easier if you don't want to come back, but I don't really know why you don't want to come back. I know that this is all produced by the agent, not you. And you're just nervous because obviously you're in a spot where this is very meaningful to you, but negotiate.
No, I guess it's just the dynamics anyway. The other property, Oak Hill, I'm using a guy who I can, this for this one is a lady, so I gotta also be very mindful. You know how it is. I gotta just be mindful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like lady, guy, doesn't matter. Just most agents are going to be pretty weak when it comes to this stuff, guys included. My guy was one of the top producers in the state, and he was scared.
Very weak.
I mean, I don't say they're weak in comparison. I mean, he wasn't weak in comparison to most agents. He just was weak in comparison to like how I would do it. And and he would tell me things like, Mike, it's not done that way. That's not how we work. That's not how, like, you don't understand because you're not an agent. And then that's what inspired me to go get my license, because I was just like, like everything in life, I just knew it didn't feel right. I'm like, why can't you negotiate as an agent? What do you mean that you can't negotiate as an agent? What do you mean you can't ask someone to get a second pre-qual? It's my thing. Why can't we ask someone to get a second pre-qual when they're like, yeah, it's their brother who, they're working with their brother who's a mortgage broker. Well, awesome. You need to talk with my mortgage guy, and I need to see that your brother did everything right, because I don't trust your brother. Your brother's just going to be like, you're qualified, and write you up something at Thanksgiving dinner and say, here, go buy a house. A real mortgage broker will make sure you're qualified. I've seen that happen, by the way. I've seen pre-quals, and I'm like, wow, how did that person get qualified? They just literally, hey, what's your credit? It's 620. Oh, okay, cool. How much you make a year? And they don't check anything. So they're just taking their word for it. And, people don't even have to know what their credit is and don't know what they truly make, honestly. They don't know what their expenses, if you ask me what my expenses are, I'd probably forget half the stuff I pay for every month. That's why they pull a credit report and find those things out. So, what do you think you're going to do? What are you feeling right now as far as
I think my inclination is to have them bump up the price to 8 and just give the 8 help. So I'm still land to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my gut feeling.
If you lose these people, then my guess is you probably would have lost them anyhow.
Okay. So, I guess I'll just get comforted. Not if I lose them, well, I'll get someone else.
Well, if you lose these people, I would suggest firing your agent.
Okay.
Seriously, just fire your agent, dude. It's getting to that point. She's now showing you that she's incompetent. Look, this is real money, man. This is not friendships and fun. This is just not like time to like make people happy. This is time.
No, I totally agree with that.
I hate it. It's the hardest part of my job when I have to fire someone, and I always am all about giving them as many opportunities as possible. But man, it's tough when like this is your bank account. I know how hard you and Jay work for this money. Everyone works hard for their money, but reality is it's a lot of money, man. She's just trying to like throw AK down a toilet potentially. And I think the problem is that at this point, she don't even want them to say yes to the counter because then she'll look like a fool. And I almost think like she has a different objective than you. Some reason. I don't know what it is or why it's that way.
Yeah, like I said, she's steering me away from the counter pretty much. But, I'll deal with her anyway.
Hey, she's afraid to death to make it because she is. That's going to probably cost you. So, I'd suggest writing an email since I know that she gets on the phone. She's almost going to be like, I had to ask. I've had people say that to me before. Hey, would you consider raising your offer by 10K? But, please don't be mad at me. I had to ask. My client made me ask. And then I'd be like, no, we're going to stay firm. She's like, okay, I'll tell them that. That's what I thought should happen. You have a good offer. I'll let them know. They didn't inspire me to go up $1. They just made me believe that like this was they weren't really asking very, very confidently. So I have a feeling she's going to do that to you because she's so not sold on it. So just, hey, what can we do to get the most money? Like, what would you normally do? You normally just take an offer because it's full price, but 10K, that's 8K, that's a lot of money. And, and we priced this really aggressively. So anyhow, I think the guy likes the house. I would just go back and counter and just tell her to be nice as possible about it.
Okay.
That's it. Just say, hey,
thank you, Mike.
Be nice as you can and don't blow it up. Yeah, I think that's where you leave it at.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, does anyone have any deals to look at? I think John's like, I'm never doing a deal again. I need a nap now. That's what this Jeez.
No, I'm good. I can take it.
I know you can. You're tough, man. I know you can take it. It's still annoying, though. I get frustrated.
Yes, it is totally annoying. And that's I'm never listening to agents again. We're going to use Jay going forward.
Well, you know what? With Jay, he's a pretty smart guy. He's good to talk with. He'll pick up very quickly on what's working. He'll be able to use the techniques, and he's an open book. So Jay will go in and try stuff. And
so our plan is to the next one to list with you, and Jay can walk with you and kind of learn what we need to do to be where we need to be.
If you wanna do one with me and I'll just walk you through it, then you'll get tons. I'll walk you through everything I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and then he can just do it on his own from there. And I don't mind doing that because I feel like a big part of this business that's not talked about enough is selling the property on the back end. There's a lot of money that's left on the table and selling it on the back end, so it's a very important piece.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, what's up, the Carrolls? How you
Hello.
guys?
How's it going?
Hey, how's everything going? You guys going through all
We're
the?
working on a house that we're putting in an offer right now, and
Awesome.
Janine's trying to run the numbers. We haven't seen the house or anything, but if we do the 70% rule, it leaves us quite a bit of money for the rehab.
Have you guys gotten to the training part where I give you the underwriting criteria and show you how I
Not
analyze
yet,
stuff?
no.
Okay.
We're like module 2 of section 3 or
Okay.
lesson
You're
of
on your
module
way
3.
though. If you want, I mean, so there's a complete underwriting criteria, and what it does, that 70% rule leaves a lot of holes. So
Yes.
sometimes 70% works, but there's sometimes 76% works, and sometimes 70% is way too high. So I offer anywhere from 65 to 76%, depending on the deal, the location, how much work it is. And the underwriting criteria I've created will help you choose when you should go higher or lower to give yourself the best chance of doing the deal. Because what you'll find is that you're probably not the only person looking at it. That's almost, I've never seen a scenario where I'm the only person. Unless maybe it's a referral or something, then sometimes you're the only person. But if it's any kind of absentee owner on the, anything that's out to the world, you're going to have a lot of competition. So my advice is put your best foot forward and take your best shot at buying the property, but know when to say, okay, that's plenty. I've done a good job. I've put my best. Oh, 1 second. Hold on. 1 second, guys. Oh crap, my phone's upstairs. I was getting ready to answer, and that's my agent. I just wanted to hear he's going to be like, but they can't do this, Mike. And I'll call him back after. My phone's upstairs, or I was going to answer and let you guys listen, because that's my agent on that one property. It's like I think the last time I had a different agent was the last property he referred to me. And he actually did a good job on that. We did get way over list, but it was like pulling teeth to get him to do it, because he was just like, what? Ask for the highest and best a third time? I was like, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we did put some contingencies on this property, and
Okay.
one of the contingencies is as a buyer, we have, 3 or 5 days? 3 days to inspect the house ourselves, and if we don't like it, we can get out of the deal.
Let me ask you a question. Where are you finding the deal from?
MLS deal.
MLS. Okay. So is it a bank deal or a private
Yes.
person?
It's
Yes.
a bank.
It's the bank. Okay. So I could be wrong about this, but my experience is I used to have a technique I used that someone taught me, and I used it for about 2.5 years straight. Every deal I'd put a contingency in like that. And what it would do is give me the opportunity to go back to them and say, hey, I got my inspector in, and here's all these things I found. And I would get a quick inspection and write them up a letter and then just renegotiate them later. The banks got pretty hip to that, because they did some math recently, about a year ago. I think it was January 1st of 17. So it's been actually like a year and a half. And they realized that people with contingencies actually fall out of contract 62% of the time. So
wow.
guess what they decided? We're not going to accept contingencies anymore. And if we do, we want a higher price for it. So the only time, and Dave experienced this, my acquisitions guy, he experienced this when he was buying his personal house. Well, he had to put a contingency in because it was his personal house, and he wasn't buying it cash. And he was losing deals left and right. And he was offering, like, I'd be like, hey, I'll offer 80. And he's like, I'll offer 90 because I'm going to live there. And he wouldn't get accepted because they would accept the 80 non-contingent before they would accept the 90 contingent. So this is something to consider. If you put a contingency in, then just keep in mind that most of the time they won't accept your offer, especially if you're competing against a cash offer. They will take less money for an all cash offer, as is where is. What could be wiser would be to put a smaller deposit, because they've not gotten hip to the small deposit yet. So maybe you can do a $500 or $1,000 deposit, and that way you're not
We did
taking
$750.
Oh, good. So that's not a real scary deposit.
No.
And if you feel confident in the numbers that you'd be able to wholesale it, maybe put a 30-day settlement, so they'll go for that. But if you put the contingency in, then they often just won't accept your contract at all. And that's been my experience, that when I try to because remember, I used to do it as a matter of fact, I would just do it on every deal I'd put a contingency in, because it would give me the ability to go back and negotiate. And 50% of the time, they would say yes to my negotiations. 50% of the time, they'd tell me to hit the road. Now, if I try to renegotiate ever, like, they won't even renegotiate. One time I bought a house and they said it wasn't on well and septic, and it was on well and septic. And I come back and said, hey, it's on well and septic. You guys mislisted it, right? You listed it incorrectly. And they were like, that's great, but you have to buy it as is. And I'm like, what does that mean? You misrepresented the house. Well and septic is huge. That's like $20K. So I said, I'm going to go get an estimate. I got an estimate. It was $15K to fix it. And they wouldn't give me one penny off. They just
Wow.
bumped me out the deal and they put it back on the market, and they ended up selling it for $40K less than what I asked them to take $15K off. They said no. And then they put it on the market. No one bought it. Like 5 months later, someone bought it for $40K less than I had under contract for. And I tell you this story to represent to you how serious they are about not taking contingencies, that they literally went and said, forget you. We're not, like, I guess they just have a rule, because it made total sense to give me 15K off. They're just like, there's these rules they've created at the banks that they do not bend and they don't want to mess with. So I'm not going to tell you it doesn't work, but my experience has been that it's still more challenging, and that it, for the most part, I've had a struggle putting contingencies in. So when I am working with the bank or I'm doing deals with the bank, I tend to just try to do a little smaller deposit, a little longer settlement. And if you have to, get out to the property, because what you could do, guys, is you could put that offer in, and when they say, yeah, it's good, you're accepted. Well, you got a day to deliver the deposit. Go see it yourself.
Right.
Go out and see it in that time. And then if you don't like it, don't send the deposit. The deal just falls apart. No one cares. I've actually done that about 10 times, and it's almost like no one cares. They just move and sell it to the next person. They don't blackball you or get mad at you. They just, it is what it is.
Move on to the next one. How have you found banks being able to assign the contract? And
Well, it's elite. They will not allow you to assign a contract. So what we do in the group, one of the things I teach here, is that we put in LLC, and we name the LLC, whatever, Fred Flintstone LLC.
and then sell the LLC.
And sell the LLC, because there's two things that happen. You save the transfer cost if you double close. In an assignment, it doesn't go into HUD-1, so the bank doesn't have to approve it. So the bank will actually make you sign something saying that you are not assigning this contract. And
Right.
legally, you're not. So you can sign that, and you're not breaking the rules. I had an attorney look at this, and he says, yeah, you're not assigning a contract. You're buying an LLC. I mean, you're buying a house in an LLC, which is your business. And then the second you own that business, no one can stop you from doing whatever you want with that business. It's like you can buy a business today and sell it 8 minutes later. That's your
So
business.
do you sell the LLC before you actually go to close on the contract?
Yeah, so it happens kind of simultaneously, but if we had to get legitimate about when it actually happens, like you will all be there at the same time with your buyer and you, and the bank's not there. Obviously, they're in California or somewhere. They're somewhere not in Maryland, obviously.
Right.
So they won't be there. They'll just mail all their stuff over. And then you work with a good closing company that knows how to do assignments of LLCs. And technically what happens is your buyer brings the money, funds the deal. You do the settlement. But as soon as you do the settlement, he's there signing, and you're selling the property to him 2 minutes later. So it all happens. We call it simultaneously, but it's like twins, right? One of them came first, even though they were born at the same time. Someone came first, right? But so technically, you are first, but you are using his money. So they're okay knowing his money sitting there waiting. They're okay letting you settle without you bringing your money, because they know they have his money in escrow, and it's all good. But you have to work with a title company that understands that. I know if you're doing anything close to Baltimore, Holly Edelstein, who I work with at Clearview Settlement Solutions, she does a great job. And in DC, I don't really know who to work with there. Or
Yeah,
if
we're
you're
in Virginia.
Yeah.
you want to find someone that's good, someone that if you're at any other mastermind groups or anything, I'm sure you can find a good one that knows how to do an assignment to LLC. Assignment
Okay.
LLCs, assignments, just make sure they're well versed in that. If they really are working with investors, they should understand that very well. That's how I do all my deals, by the way. I can't even tell you the last time I did a regular assignment. It's literally been at least 4 or 5 years since I've done one. And in every blue moon, someone says, I don't like an assignment LLC, so I'm not buying the property. And then guess what? I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. I'll just sell it to the next buyer. That's cool. So
Okay.
it's that simple.
Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect, actually.
So what they are going to ask you for now, though, is they're going to say, oh, the LLC, they're going to ask you for operating docs. So if you have operating docs that are blank, then just fill in the new name. I have my operating docs for my MP Green management, and then I'll usually make things like MP Green 123 Main Street so that I can put it in the bank account when I get a check for it. Because my bank has agreed if it says MP Green first, they don't mind what it says after. So I don't know if that's what your bank will do, because you don't want to have to go set up a bank account for every one of these LLCs you create. So that's another little logistical thing that you want to take and be mindful of. Secondarily, though, when you take the operating docs, all I have to do is take my MP Greens and just be like MP Green, put 123 Main Street. It's like a Word doc. Then I convert it to a PDF, sign it, and then here's my operating docs. It's the same ones. I just use the same ones. They never check them. And if the deal gets accepted, I then go do the LLC. I can go do it online these days. So it's actually
Right.
So I don't know in Virginia, if you're doing a Virginia one, you don't necessarily, if you can do it online or not, but
You can.
You can.
so if you can, then awesome, just do it online. Just make sure your name's unique enough that no one else has taken it. You know,
Right.
I throw like a couple random numbers at the end just to ensure that it's available. Then that's the only concern you can have. So
Okay.
yeah. That in mind, I think that's how I would consider doing it. If you guys would like, it seems like we don't have a bunch of people that need a lot of things today. I don't mind looking at your deal if you want to tell me the numbers, and I can give you a feel whether you're jumping into something good or not. If it's on the MLS and you're
Yes.
hesitant, like, and you're putting like contingencies in, the reality is you're just going to lose a lot, right? Because the MLS, like when you get a deal in the MLS, the only time you can get a deal in the MLS is when you've done something differently than everyone else. So I'll give you a couple scenarios. I've bought a couple houses where the keys were gone out the box and the agent never put the keys in, and I happened to have HUD keys so I could get in. Or I had my special crowbar, that, you know, magic crowbar that, and I got
The
in.
master key.
It's made out of unicorns, so you got to make sure you get that one. I sell those. They have, you know, 10 house flipping 10X on them for $150. But actually, I probably don't want that. I could see everyone being like in jail with their crowbar and their ski mask and their 10X ski mask. I was like, man, what is this guy teaching everyone? You know, we get in, and because I got in and no one else got in, then I knew enough about the inside to get a little more aggressive. I knew there was a handful of things I could save, and then maybe I got aggressive. Another scenario is I've gotten where things come on the market at 9, and because it's a really good looking number, I was able to be like, hey, I'm at the house at like 9:30, and from the house, I would take and just make an offer right there. I literally take like the laptop you see me guys on right now, this thing, can't see it, but I have this little laptop I take with me. I get cell phone Wi-Fi, so I can just pull it right off my phone. So I comp it right there, run my deal analyzer, run my renovation budget. All the numbers look good. And then I'm literally like on the phone with the agent sitting in my car in front of the house. And hey, will you write the offer for me? I always get them to write for me. And hey, by the way, what number would it take, do you think you could go to your asset manager and get this accepted today? And they'd be like, this number, I think I can get it accepted. If that number works, then I'm like, do it. So that's how I get deals when they're listed at 70 and I'm willing to pay 90. That happens a lot. When they're under listed like that, though, you only have one opportunity to buy it, and that's if you buy it like in the first 8 hours. Everything after that, you pretty much have no chance. If it goes a couple days on the market or they hold it for 10 days and they'll look at all offers, yeah, it ain't happening. Let's just leave it at that. You know, it ain't going to happen if you have to do that, unfortunately. So, because once all the people get in, I call it the slow money. The slow money is usually the big money. The people that come in 3 weeks, if they're on the market 2 weeks, that's the people come in, they're real slow. They always pay more than the people that are really quick. The really quick people usually are really quick. That's why they pay less. They have to try to get an opportunity. So I've had where I've done things really fast. I've had where I've seen stuff that other people couldn't see. I've also had things that were, I looked at them and they were on the market, and an hour later they were temporarily off, or they withdrew the listing.
Right.
I would go see it, and that would work. I've had things that were on HUD but weren't on MLS. So, you know, I got in, they didn't get as much traction because, you know, they were on that. I don't know. I've had things where I've done a rehab up the street, so I knew the value. It did really well when I marketed it, so I knew there was a little more value than the comp suggested. It's always having like an inside track, right? There's something. And that's with the banks, by the way. And then with private deals, then you really just want to get on the phone and get the agent to write for you and get them fully convinced why your offer makes sense and how it would be the best thing for their client. And if you can do that, then like Rashad has gotten a couple deals where he was able to convince people that like, hey, I'm the great guy to work with. We will get the settlement. We did get the settlement, by the way, and we did it, made it easy on them, and they were really happy to work with us. And they got higher offers after, you know, they got higher offers after they gave us a verbal before they even signed the contract. And because they gave us a verbal, they honored it and never even told the higher offers to their client. Because they were high eyes, by the way. So high eyes don't like to go back on their word. Right? They don't want to give their word and go back. They're like, I didn't want to make Rashad mad. So because she didn't want to make him mad, she was like, you know, I'm not even going to tell them about the higher offers. They verbally committed. But, you know, legally, she probably should have said something, but she didn't.
Right.
It's cool. I mean, we got a deal out of it, but that's the kind of, like, when it comes to the MLS, you'll never hear me say you can't get deals on the MLS. I get about 15, 16 deals a year on the MLS, but you can't get them doing the same thing as everyone else is doing. You got to have like a niche. You got to have something you're doing a little differently in order to kind of strike a little bit of lightning. You have to get enough volume so that as you're looking, you're like, oh, this one, I did this and I ducked and weaved at the right time and I got the deal. then that's how we win things on the MLS. It is through getting on the phone and being pretty persuasive. Like Delonte, he was on the MLS looking for a deal for 8 months and did not get a deal. And then one day I overheard him and I said, look, say these 3 things. And I swear to God, the next phone call he got on, he got a deal. It was 2 days later, he got his first deal. And when he got on the phone, he was able to convince the agent that, like, hey, we'll be the right person. And that also was a deal where we offered, I think we bought it for, it's the one we did the demo. I don't know if you guys remember, John, you were there. We did the demo.
Yep.
We offered like, our offer was 10K less, roughly 8 to 10K less than the highest offer. And we got it accepted.
Oh, wow.
So that's what it's going to take, because there'll be higher offers. But guess what? If they really like you, they will look for all the reasons, like maybe your offer is the highest offer. And what do you think? Like if the other guy gets on the phone and makes them love them, like they'll be like, oh, well, we do have this higher offer from the Carrolls, but it's got a 5-day contingency in it. Maybe we should just, how they are. They might come back and negotiate. We don't know. They might not be that serious because they put that contingency. And they only got a $750 deposit. Mike's got a $3,000 deposit. Let's just take the lower offer because it's more serious. But they're not going to assume that stuff. You have to convey that to them and get them on board with that. So I would say that if you're going to do MLS, just make sure you have a niche, be quick. And try to find a way to make it not so undesirable for you, right? And I like what you're doing. I like your smaller deposit. I would maybe figure out, instead of doing the contingency, maybe just jump in your car if it gets accepted, because most of them won't get accepted. You'll never have to jump in the car. But if it does get accepted, then you're a contractor, right? So you jump in the car and figure it out. You know what you're doing.
And this is a house that was on the market, had a contract on it, and it was another investor, and it fell out. So it is back on the market, and we talked to the listing agent, and she's
a little bit of time on the phone with a listing agent. So
does she feel pretty good that your offer would be good?
yes.
Oh, well, she probably knows that. I would take her advice. Is she gonna write it for you, or?
No, I was not gonna write it.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I don't think Janine mentioned to her is the contingency
The 3
for us
days.
as an investor going to look at it.
Right.
Because in Virginia, that's not in the Virginia contract,
Mm-hmm.
that that the buyer can actually go look at a house and reject it. But in Maryland and DC, it is.
Yeah. Well, it's not in our
contract. Part
contract.
in.
Yeah, it's not in our contracts as far as like you wouldn't be in a contract I would put in, because like when you put a contract in as an investor, you got to make it look desirable, because look, we're offering a little price, so we have to give something in return. Listen, whenever I tell a bank I put any kind of contingency, they usually respond to me, go see the property, make your offer then.
Right.
That's what I've gotten back most of the time. Hey, go, you haven't, because first of all, I know like in Maryland, and I'm actually sure this is true in Virginia, depending on what market you're in. If you're in like Fredericksburg, you'll see less of it than you'll see like in Northern Virginia. But when they know that you haven't seen the property, first thing you're going to say, you haven't seen the property? Oh, we won't even accept offers if you haven't seen the property.
Yeah, we've ran into that once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to me quite often. And I actually go on showing time and just book appointments and never go. So that, or, on like CSS and book appointments and never go, so that way they feel like I've seen it.
Right.
I don't tell them I haven't seen the property. And then what I do is I go see the property once they accept. That's been working well for me. And it gives me like a 24 to 48 hour window to go before I make it real. That's been my kind of hack to this, because they won't accept it if I put it on paper. But if I kind of circle around the back door a little bit, I can do that. So, consider it. I would definitely ask about that contingency. I feel like that probably changes a lot. That is
Okay.
a big thing for the banks.
I like your concept of not giving them the EMD until after we've actually seen it.
Oh, yeah, because exactly. Because, worst case scenario, you go see it, you hate it, and you know what? You just don't return their calls. Or because, look, you think like, oh, well, they'll know me and it'll make them mad at me next time. I rarely ever do business with the same person. And if it's a really big REO agent who you will do business with, say it's an REO agent that you might end up doing a couple deals a year with, well, they won't even know who you are if you don't show up with a deposit. They're so big. They got so much going on. They're not going to be like, the Carrolls never brung their deposit. They'd be like, the Carrolls who? They don't even know. They got 17 layers of people dealing with stuff. They have no clue who anyone is. I bought like 5 deals off of one REO agent, and that person couldn't even like repeat my name, I don't think. They're so like, they're like the Wizard of Oz, when you become a big REO agent, you don't know what's going on. You're in witness protection from all the people trying to call about your new listing, 8 listings. And Like literally, you got to PG County. You put something out, you got to go on witness protection. Because like 45 times a day, people will be like, I had somebody hit me up on Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, how did they even find out my Facebook Messenger? They're like, hit me up on Messenger, like, I have an offer for you. And I've had them like do some crazy stuff. They call my mom, call my broker, call everyone. So you can imagine like REO agents that are putting out all these things, all these properties, they won't know who you are. So I've never seen, for me, I don't often have to not send my deposit, but when I do, I'm protected. And when I have not had to do it, it's never been a big deal. It's never been like anyone saying, I hate you, will never deal with you. It's never been any of that.
Right. Okay.
All right, good advice.
All right, hopefully that's helpful.
Yes.
Hey, Red, how are you? How are you doing? Give him a second. I know he's probably working. Oh, so if you guys also want to look at your deal, like the numbers and all that, are you offering 70% on it? Is that what you got?
No, actually, we're offering list price because it's listed. ARV is about 240,
Mm-hmm.
and list price is 75.
240. How much you putting into it? Do you think from the you have pics?
If you would, I've got some pics. I don't have they don't have pictures of the worst part, but
What is the worst part? How do you know that?
there's a small area that she said was gutted. It was totally gutted,
Oh, okay.
and there's a hole in the floor.
Oh, that don't sound.
And there's no pictures of that. There's only pictures of the area that still looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
But
The old house that had a
Addition.
story addition put on it.
Mhm.
It's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths?
I can text you the MLS
Well, do you guys,
number.
so if you jump on here, you hit share screen, I can give you permission to share your screen if you want to just pull it up and tell me what
I
you
can
think.
do that.
Because you have the MLS. I think it's the same MLS, obviously. Or I can pull the MLS, but let's see if we can do that. If we can't do that, then I'll jump on the MLS and pull it up.
Yeah. Okay.
See how technical we are. Oh, hold on. I feel like something's
got it.
coming.
Right. I just need to. You have to tell me if it's working.
I don't know. I think we're going to have to go the other way. I don't know how to make that work. Let's see. Okay. Well, we'll just do it my way then. I guess we'll have to do it the other way.
Okay.
Let me pull the MLS up real quick.
Okay.
Can you just give me the address? I'll put it in.
Okay.
Let me get in there. I have to log in real fast. Can you see my screen?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, let me share it then. 1 second. Let me log in. And...
Yeah. I know.
Oh, I was already sharing the screen.
There you go.
All right. So
The address is 126.
okay.
Potomac Drive, Colonial Beach,
What's zip code?
22443.
So you got West Potomac Drive, Colonial Beach. We have East Potomac. Do you know if it's west or east?
I'm
Yeah,
the same. We'll see.
What is that? Does that look like where it is?
Yes.
Okay, so we're probably good then. Okay. All right, let's take a quick look. See if we can find our subject property first. So I'm gonna go in here. Got 240 comp on it. And let's just find this first.
It's on there. 759-126 Potomac Drive. That's it.
Okay. It's interesting looking.
Yes. The little short old house is a very old house. To the point that they don't know when it was built. And the other part of it.
I like that more than half the pictures are of the neighborhood beach.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a beach community.
Yeah, that's nice though. But so year built is so no basement on this or
No basement.
no basement. Okay, that's what I thought. I could just look at it and tell it looked like pretty old and hokey. 10 days on the market. Let's take a quick look at age 1900. So yeah, some of the things 1900s definitely can throw you for a loop when you get in there because you might get in there and like the ceilings could be low. You can get in there and like I don't know, like it just doesn't lay out very well. But I
our
do
local
tend to get
realtors-
a lot of these, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Our local realtors, if they don't know what year it was built, they put 1900.
Okay, so that means they're not sure. Or what is the tax
Yes.
record?
Right. So it's really that they're not sure.
Well, in that,
But it was built in two pieces.
Well, we're really thinking of the original house. Let me see if the tax record will come up and tell us because 1900. That's just pretty random. I mean, it looks like the original house, but let's see.
the house or the building that housed all the old records in Westmoreland County had a fire. So that's why they probably do not know.
Okay.
They still had all paper records. They had a fire a number of years ago. Yeah, there's not much.
Okay, it didn't tell us much, but you're right. So is there a certain year that this starts to happen? Or
I don't know what year they had the fire, but it
Well, when
was
I look at it, it doesn't look 1900, but what I mean,
No.
it does look a little hokey though. It does look a little bit like, hodgepodge put together. It does say it's 4.2. Tax
my understanding, the community that it's in started in the 60s or 70s. So I don't think it's older than that.
county doesn't have the size on record, so we don't know really what you're getting into size wise, but okay. I mean, we can look at it and make some assumptions. How much money did you put for the renovation on this?
About 80 to 90,000.
Oh, so that seems really high because I mean, you don't have any basement. I mean, if you have to gut this thing out completely and start over, you should be at like 80,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know the short section is already all gutted, and that needs to be done. But the other section is
Yeah, it doesn't tell. I mean, look, at the end of the day, look, I'm seeing sheetrock, by the way. So in most of the rooms, we see sheetrock. These look like vinyl windows. So there's a lot going on that, I mean, I look at the outside. Yeah, you need to fix this side and then paint it, but that's not the end of the world. You got some stuff here. Me personally, I mean, obviously, if this was my renovation, I'd be looking at maybe like 65 on this, simply because there's no basement. So that's a huge, like first of all, you put a basement, you got to finish it, it's $20K. But you don't have a basement, then you're really just focusing on this first and second floor. I can't tell if the roof's good or bad, but I mean, when I look at it, it actually looks like an acceptable roof that does not need to be tore off. I see things that are bringing value to the house, but obviously see work that needs to be done too, like this weird thing and, your addition over here. But I'm seeing value, like the house, has sheetrock and decent portion of it. Even these kitchen cabinets are very nice looking. I don't think you'll use them, but again, these are just little signs that the house doesn't look like a complete train wreck. When I come into houses that have like plaster and all the windows are wood and it needs everything, I'm usually with no basement, I'd be at like 80K. I mean, that's like complete renovation. I need sheetrock, everything. I don't think you need everything on this. One of the things that you'll learn in the analyzation is there is a deal analyzing tool that we use, which we call a quick reno estimator. And what you do with a house that has no basement, I'm just going to guess this is like 1,600 square feet. With no basement, 1,500. So we start at like 50K. Right. And then we add for things we see that would be above 50K. Right now we have that unfinished space. We might add 5,000 for that. If we had to add a bath, we'd add 5,000. If we need HVAC system. But I'm not even seeing a bunch of stuff. I honestly would be somewhere between 55 to 65K. I tell you this because if the one thing is that if list price, you could offer more than list price and still have a really good deal, then you should consider doing that. But I think there's some room for you to get a little more aggressive or a little more sharp on your renovation cost. Based on what I think you get out there, you should probably be able to do this for 65K with no basement. Just what I'm seeing. I don't know. You guys, you're a contractor too, so I don't know. What is your gut feeling on this?
I think you're probably right with your numbers. you know, the siding, like you said, most of it looks good. It's just that back area where it looks
Yeah.
off.
You repair it
And
and paint everything, you know?
yeah, and where the plywood is on the front, I
Mhm.
think that's the front. I don't know. It's hard to tell on this house.
I feel like it's the front. I'm thinking it's the front too.
You know, the plywood doesn't look like it's rotted out. It just looks weathered. So, I mean, if anything, you might have to cut the bottom strip off underneath the windows and replace that.
Oh yeah, I mean these are all new windows by the way too. So you can
Yeah.
see they started to put tie back on. I mean these are all newer windows. I mean there's some stuff that's been done to the house. There's definitely value here.
I just got to figure out how to make it pretty.
And not goofy looking.
Well, you know, let's look at the comps and then I'll tell you how important that is.
Okay.
Let's see what the comps look like at 240 and I'll tell you how. Sometimes like not making it look goofy, you just do a couple little things, and sometimes not looking goofy is really a big deal. Certain neighborhoods, if something looks goofy, like you get like for us, if you get in the more exclusive areas and you have a goofy look, they won't buy it.
Right.
So let's start with this one, the other two. So, okay, this thing's weird looking, but it looks like it's on the water actually. 239. That's one of our higher solds. It looks like to me like it's on a lake. Yeah, that's on the
There's
water.
a little lake.
It's not renovated, but it is on a lake, so that's kind of a no-go as far as something we want to consider, because that's like apples and arches.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm clicking all the ones we're taking off, so we're not looking at these first two, mostly because, well, 1964 we actually can look at. Let me pull that one up. It was so high is why I threw it off. The 2017 don't count.
That one might be on the water as well. Yep.
This one is on the water also, so that went for a lot more money. But it's nice to see what a waterfront goes for. Seems like there. So this one's 2015. We're not going to deal with that. 2007, 18, 98, 2000 this, 2000 that, 2000 that. Okay. So you can see quickly we're getting out of. So hold on. Oh, wow. That's a very, you know what I've noticed too already that's so different than our market is look at all your actives compared to solds. Wow, 10 solds compared to 20 actives and contracts. That is like we have the opposite going on here. So you would see probably 20 with maybe 5 to 10 actives. So you, have a lot, you do have a lot more actives, and that's something to consider. But when we look at all the solds, let me take a quick look. But when I'm looking at the solds, I'm not seeing any real high solds that aren't newer. Minus we have that one, but it was on the water, so. I mean, my bigger concern might be just your comps, essentially, because it seems like the newer houses are going for the real money. And they seem like when I just look at some of the new, well, let's, you know, now what I'd want to do for you is just let's look at the new ones that are in your ballpark and see how we compare. Oh, we seen that one that was on the water. It is newer too. And then let's see this Blackwell is 2017. Okay, am I hitting the same button?
Yeah, you hit the same one.
All right, we're not going to hit that one again. Let's try Lee. Okay, so Lee's 238, 233, and this is a newer house. And I mean, look at this house for 233.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that this house has a garage. I mean, this has a lot going on. This house seems better than yours, mostly because it is a 3.2 and it's 1,600 square foot, but it's built in 2015, so it's only about 3 years old. It's on a bigger lot than yours. I mean, that's probably not that meaningful, but that's just a small thing. Another little check against you. It's off the main road, so I think it's very comparable to yours, other than the fact that it's a 2015. I don't think yours is a 2000. It also is nicer looking in general, like we talked about. It has a better feel. So, I mean, the issue I'm seeing is that these newer ones are selling for like the numbers that you're hoping to sell for. So we have another one here, 2.25. And so this one's not, well, let's just say this is homeowner renovated. It is very nice. It's not quite my style, but you know, it is very well done. You can move right into it.
Yeah, a lot of the renovations in our area, they don't upgrade the cabinets.
Yeah.
You know, they might replace the carpet, put paint, you know, they don't do a lot.
So the reason this is much nicer than yours, obviously a 2-car garage, it's a newer look. It's very, very desirable look. It's on a nice lot. It's got a lot nice, like people will pick this house over your renovated house all day long. It's also very nice open layout. So even though it's not brand new renovated, it's a very open, beautiful layout with a very desirable home, garage, lot, everything. This house kind of is much better than your house. The thing is, it only went for 2.25. So, you know, I'm seeing houses that are much newer than yours, 2007 on that one. And I mean, I guess yours isn't built in 2007, but unfortunately we don't know. what the heck's going on with it. And let's see what else we got going on. So is that Blackwell, Randall? Let's look at that one. So Randall went for 185. Let's see what the deal with that is. Again, this is ready to go. It's a light renovation for sure, but like it's carpet, paint, everything looks awesome. I'm not even sure why that sold so cheap. Well, 3.2. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it could be some of the houses that sell in the wintertime around this neighborhood are going to sell a lot less.
Oh, because it's slow.
Yeah, well, it's a beach community, and the little town that it's closest to in the wintertime has about maybe 2,500 to 3,000 people. And then the summertime, there's like 7,500 to 10,000 people.
Okay, here's just look at some of the contracts. Maybe that'll help us some. I mean, even look, when we go into the contracts, so look, this is a brand new house for $239. So I would not price your house at $239. I'm just looking at houses like someone's going to pick a new house over your used house, even though it's nice and new, you know, remodeled. It's still not a new construction. So new constructions always get a premium. It's kind of like a new car versus one that drives off the lot and it loses its value. You always get more money for it. And I'm seeing a decent amount of options here that people could, you know, take advantage of that really are much better than yours. Let's see some of this one. Was that one? That's 188. But again, oh, that's the one we just looked at. How do we get down to that one? So I'm looking at all the contracts here. Lot 5. Okay, here's a 249. Let's just see what that gets you. So you see, that's a much nicer house. List price 249, under contract 421, 1,900 square feet. I'm guessing yours is not that big. I don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know how big it is. It is a 4-bedroom though, isn't it?
It is, but even if it is 1,900, one thing you want to notice is that when a house is square like this versus that, like what that's like a split level is what yours reminds me of.
Yeah.
You know, like as the one floor and then the split level. When a house is square like this, it's going to be more usable square footage. The square footage is going to be really desirable square footage. Where your square footage is going to be definitely looks like it could need some optimization essentially. And I'm not saying you couldn't make that work, but my guess is that, you know, your numbers are much lower than 240. With you guys taking and seeing these comps, do you think that's accurate, that maybe there's maybe a little more of a comp issue? I think you can get the rehab done cheaper, but I don't know.
We narrowed it down to the 4.2s, I think.
And I'm not sure why I picked 240 as the number anymore. Off the top of my head, I just don't remember why.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's not. And that's one of those areas that probably needs work.
Module 3 is going to help you with that. I have to say, I've put a system together that helps me not make bad choices because my heart gets involved in my decision-making process sometimes, and it never is good for my pockets. My heart always is arguing with my pockets. Like, why did you, what? I've even had times when my partner's like, well, why would you think that's 240? And I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I'm looking at the comps with you right now. I don't know what I was thinking.
Right.
I don't know what the heck was going on. Like I drank coffee. I don't know, man. Like can't even tell you why I thought that. So I really do try to create a system you follow that helps you, that underwriting criteria, and it'll really help you get like an understanding of it so that you don't spend a lot of time on it. And the next question is on every deal, regardless of how bad or good I think it is, I do try to determine what the number actually is and what do you think you can sell that for. We don't know the square footage, but I'm going to take an educated guess and put it at about 1,500 square feet. I think we wouldn't be too low or high either way. And so, you know, we'd be at about 1,500. I haven't even looked though. So everything doesn't have a basement here. So, but this house tells me that 240 ain't going to happen. Where do you think, and I've not really seen much like your house. That's the next thing.
Well, yeah, that's the other, yes.
Let's look at this one. There you go. This is definitely like your house, but I mean, not as good as your house, but let's take a look at that. Oh, and it's got a water view too, by the way. But outdated though. But ready to move into. Kind of
right.
All right, let's take a look. So that's only 159. It's 2-1, so that's a complete turd. It's also on the water, so it's so hard to even compare. It's interesting how there's so few old properties here. So what I'm going to do now, whenever I don't get what I want, I go back farther. I'm only 180 days back. I'm going to go 1,100 days back because I want to see more like your stuff, right? I want to see houses that make me feel like your house because these are all these new ones. They just feel different. I want to see some older stuff. These are all in the water. 1960. Here's some stuff. Let's see, 3-2 near the water. Here we go. There's an older house. There's a 260 for us. Yeah, it's not even that nice. The community pier. Let's see why that sold for 260. I mean, it's close to the water.
Right.
Water view.
Oh, it's
probably.
2,600 square feet. That's really
Okay.
much bigger.
Right.
I missed that. Sorry about that, guys. That was like complete. It's really big. I was just looking at the year and not paying attention to the square footage.
There's a 77 on Blackwell. I think you looked at that one already.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's 19. There's 159. See what that's about. Again, see, make sure that's not on the water. Hard to freaking tell. Exterior. Oh, that's a beautiful house. It's very nice. Not really rehabbed, but it's got pink room. It lost me with the pink and the. Okay, that's very cool. Cool little house there. They got a fair number for that. Then I think they are on the water, though. I do think they're on the lake.
That's a little cove.
They're on the lakefront. I'm sure that's not as good as the main water, but it's still a lakefront.
Yeah.
I'm just going down here. 1970. Here we go. Potomac. Oh, this is on your street. I love this because it's on your street. Man, but it looks like it's near the water, though. So your street does go near the water in some parts.
Come in. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, sure. Thank
That
you.
might be why they went 2 stories with the addition.
So they
Mhm.
can water maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Well, so this house is not that nice, but it is on your street. It is, I don't know how old yours is, but it's definitely more like from an age standpoint, similar. Brand new carpet. It says waterfront. It's on the water again. God damn it. Everything's on the water here. It's like hard to find anything. And maybe it's because we're looking at things that are higher priced. So it's kind of showing us that we're seeing a consistent pattern, aren't we? That things that are going into 240s are like either on the water or really close to the water. So here's a 185, and I'm seeing, okay, this one is not on the water. I'm pretty
Thank
much
you so much.
confirming that. It is not that nice either, though, and it definitely looks like from a layout standpoint, it's probably similar to yours. It's just not fixed up, though.
Right.
It is 3.2 and 1,700 square feet. 12 days on the market. It's pretty good days. It's awesome. Let's see what else we can find. I mean, this is hard to comp. This is a little harder to comp than usual. You're right. You have some. You have a couple variables in here that make the comping not like straightforward. 1988. That's a little new. 1977. Nicholson. Just trying to get a feel. Okay, this is renovated.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Like you said, they kind of just do like lighter renovations here. But they,
Yeah.
this is what you see with the lighter. They did the kitchen. The kitchen's brand new. Bathrooms look, I don't know, they might be newer, but they're nice. This is looks like a nice lot with a thing, and it went pretty cheap. 162, 3.2, 1,300 square feet. I mean, if I had to guess and I was giving you like a opinion on this, I was thinking like 170 to 190 or something. It's super, like, I don't know even where to put you at. If the comps are not conclusive, I usually pass on deals where the comps aren't conclusive because I don't really know how to give you good advice here. But when you don't have clear comps, then it makes sense to go on the lower side. So I probably would not price this over like 180, 185 because it seems like for me, with if you're not on the water, you're not newer, then you definitely aren't going to have similar value to them. Because right now people can buy for 240, they can get something on the water, and
Right.
Yeah.
they can get a newer house.
Well, this community is also similar to 2 other communities that are outside of Colonial Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And also Colonial Beach itself has different areas. And this particular community is a little bit better than the other 2 outside of Colonial Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because I went to high school there.
Okay. I mean, these comps are in our community though, right?
Yeah.
So we're in the same community, but so the comps I'm seeing, I mean, like this house is decent. I mean, it's not a bad house.
Yeah.
And there was another one that was at 185 too. We've seen. The only thing I've really seen that's gotten over 2 is stuff that's nicer, either newer or on the water. So it's just something to think about. I think if you put a really like the problem, and also there's a second variable here is that these things sit on the market if they're not priced right. And
Yeah.
you know, you got a lot of active, so people have stuff to choose from. So
Right.
I'm totally cool with you flipping in a neighborhood like this, but there's only really one way you can do it safely. Make sure your house stands out and like people don't have to think about buying it. They're just like, oh, that's priced well.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to probably find those on the MLS. Those are going to require a little marketing, talking to people directly, because
Right.
at the end of the day, I mean, you need to find stuff a little bit cheaper. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, you might go in there and figure out based on the way they're renovating, you might be able to go and renovate your house for like 45K, honestly. So
Yeah.
if you renovate it for 45K and you could sell it for like 180, you probably got a little bit of something there. Let's see what that would look like. And I mean, that's where the numbers, after I've comped it now, the numbers are starting to make more sense, would be to do something along those lines. So let's, you guys can still see my screen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I didn't lose you. I'll find some deal analyzers.
And the other plus for this area is over the past year, the whole Colonial Beach area has taken off.
Mm-hmm. Not really.
Well, you're looking at one little part of the neighborhood. There's areas.
I'm a half mile out though, but I'm looking at the part of the neighborhood we're in. So I mean,
Yeah.
comps in that part that you're in, there's a lot more available than I'm used to seeing. That's not the sign of a strong market when 2/3 of the listings are active. That's usually a sign of a market that, and maybe it's improving from what it was, but it's still not like it sounds like to me, based on it being so many actives, that there's a decent amount of buyers and decent amount of properties for sale. So there's not like you get into really good areas that are like truly taking off. There's like zero. Like, you'll look and see 40 listings and there'll be 3 available. That's it. I mean, that's like that's a really happening neighborhood. So just know that people have options when when they're going in this area, you're going to have to stand out. And, right now, oh yeah, I mean, so this works. I mean, these numbers start to make some sense. I mean, if you go like 175 or something, I mean, this model to me, like just doing something, you guys can see this is if you were to do like 175, 45 and work, you pay 72. I mean, if you're making like 35K on it, that sounds like a good deal to me. Let me take it up to 5 months because that's actually should be. So I would do this deal all day long. And the question mark now is like, if you were to put 45K in work, and I think most of that money would be spent in the bathrooms and kitchens,
Right.
Can you make that work or not? And, with you being a contractor, and I know that this area is probably down there, it's probably got some manpower available for a reasonable price because it seems like cost of living is cheaper down there than it is here. So, you probably have no issue doing, you have no basement. And you had some things you can save. And I don't think the expectation of anything I seen there was like a full gut rehab. Obviously, it was just, get it cleaned up, get it livable, get it looking nice, and make the kitchen and baths look nice. I think you could do that for 45K with no basement. I think you could do that, obviously. Now, if you get in there and the house is a little bigger and it costs a little more money to renovate, you might also be able to get a little more money on the ARV. And you have room in this still. I mean, again, if you go down to the underwriting criteria that's right here, it says that if it's worth 175 to 200, we go 67 to 69, and we're sitting right now at 67. So 69% would be offering like 74. I don't know that you have to do that though, and I think you have a little room actually. So it still works at 68. You have a little room. I think if you can get this for list price, I mean, I feel comfortable with you buying it. I think I just hope that I gave you a clearer maybe strategy for investing in it.
Okay. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think that it's a good investment and the numbers still work. I just think now maybe instead of thinking 240 and putting 70 or 80 in, you just think of like maybe 45K and make it look really nice on the areas that truly matter. And then sell it for a price that you feel comfortable that it'll go for. Because the comps suggest, and listen, if I'm wrong about this and this thing goes for 200 or 215, well, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be mad at me. I make a lot more money. It's going to be awesome. If you're right and it's on the come up, like you said, well, the only good things can happen. But there's enough data that an outside guy who's not emotionally attached to the neighborhood, which, the fact you grew up there actually makes you more emotionally attached to it. Well, I'm not seeing the same thing you're seeing. I'm seeing some concerns. And,
Right.
Okay.
with that being the case, I could totally be wrong, but I'm usually not. I'm really good at going into areas and seeing like the patterns more than anything.
Mhm.
And the patterns are suggesting that there's a decent amount of active properties that, things sit on the market a little bit, like you said, certain times a year. Even you saying that tells me it isn't that strong of a market. In my decent markets, like they don't have seasons. I listed a property on Christmas Eve and got it under contract on Christmas one year.
Right.
Like, they don't take breaks. I mean, imagine, I know when the market used to be soft back in the day, like it would basically shut down from the 20th of December until like January 15th. You wouldn't even have a showing when the things were soft. But now that the market's really truly hot, like now people are just like, oh, Christmas, who needs that? My kids will be fine. They'll forgive me.
Yeah.
I need to go get this deal. I mean, people have really literally have called me like on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And I do celebrate that holiday. So I was like, hey man, but I appreciated the enthusiasm for sure. They were calling me, but I was like, I'm not docu-signing anything today. So they're aggressive. So I kind of like your deal. And I think maybe, go in, as you get into like the acquisition section, you're going to see that I always try to get the other agent to write. So they're fighting for me so that they're all, not just fighting for me, but they're going to come to you and tell you like, hey guys, 72, like someone offered 74. Can you go 74.5? So when they're writing the offer for you, you'll get that a lot. When they're not writing the offer for you, then it's just going to be like, hey, I've got a higher offer. Sorry, you didn't win. So
Okay.
if they're okay with it, then what I always offer and what has worked really well for me to give me an advantage is to get me more inside information than my competitor is for me to say, hey, I'm an investor. I have a license, but I don't really like to write my offers. Would you consider writing it for me? I'm easy to work with. You don't even have to represent me. I just need someone to put the paperwork in so I can go buy more houses. I really just want to focus on that. Would that be okay? The reason I do it though is because if they're getting double the commission, they have a stake in the game to want you to win. And you'd be surprised how many times someone has came to me. One of two Rashad's deals. One was a guy came to him and said, look, I need you to raise your offer by $500 because someone come in and offered the same thing as you. And he was like, okay. And we won the deal. I mean, that person wasn't doing that if they weren't writing both sides. They basically said, here's the playbook of how to get this deal.
Right.
Because they knew that if they let us lose over, like the guy was like $100 more than us. And if they would have let us lose over that they would have got half the commission. So they were actually had a stake in the game with us. So, but when they aren't willing to do it because they say, oh, I don't write both sides, I don't want to do that. But I got a feeling down in your area, everyone wants to do that so they can make some money. And sometimes here they don't do it because they're just so busy and so abundant they don't need to. But when you get into a softer market, people are always really excited to do it. And as long as it's their listing and they have control over it, then that's what you want. I mean, most of the time when people are accepting like every deal where they're accepting lower offers with us, remember I was telling you because they really liked us and they were like, these people will settle. Well, a lot of that is driven by the fact that we've said and done the right things. But if I had to really guess, it's also because they're making double the commission with us. So they're kind of like, I don't even know what the word is, but it's not very, they're basically inherently going to like us more because they make more with us. So they're going to start looking for reasons to want to do the deal with us versus looking for reasons not to do the deal.
Not to.
So that is my hack that I use. I use it quite often. And I promise you that I've skipped on a lot of commissions on the front side, but then on the back side, sell it yourself because there's zero value of you having another agent sell it on the back side. And that's where you make all your money up, is that you don't have to pay that commission on the backside. Because the commission you're giving up on a 74,000, I don't know what your deal is with your broker, but it's not really that much.
Right.
Think about doing the deal and making 30K. That's the money. Like this is our focus right here. It's a big picture. That's the winner, right? The 30,000 making money, having a sharp price so it's easy to sell, knowing you can get the stuff done at the right price and everything works out nicely. So sometimes, often, I can't even tell you. I've only written probably three offers in my life. Yeah, and so that's how little. I will go from like, oh, they'll say I can't write it. Then I'll be like, hey, do you have an assistant that'll write it? Someone in your office you like working with? because even when they're not getting double the commission, if it's someone who they want to see win and they're like, wow, my assistant needs to make this thing, the assistant can come bug them. You think that assistant who ain't made no money this year, who had to become an assistant because they didn't have any listings, and their listing broker gives them you, or the listing agent they work for gives them you, and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to make a commission. They will bug that person all day, every day. All day, every day. And they're in the same office usually, so they know how to get a hold of them. They know how to walk through the door and say, hey, where are we at? Where do I need to be? You know, they have again, you've gotten that agent through the back door, you've gotten them to have a stake in the game again. Because now the stake in the game is, I want my assistant to win, or I want that guy I like in the office. That's why I always ask, is there someone in your office you really like working with? Because as soon as they, oh, you know what, why don't I give it to Bob? He's awesome. I love working with Bob. Again, that's just right there. That means they want Bob to win. We just want them to know that if they say, I want Bob to win, then I'll give it to Bob. I give it to other people. That's why I never write them, because I'm like, please don't make me write this. Please. Right. They have no friends. They know no one. They have no friends, and I write it. But you know, it is what it is. That's pretty rare, though. They're agents. They're, you know, usually have plenty of friends and plenty of people they win. So start with trying to get them to write it for you. Secondarily, go to getting them to someone they like to write it for you, who has access to them. And yeah, I really honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, almost every one of my deals gets done. It's usually because of that. So maybe that's the simplest piece of this, is just make sure you're not trying to write things yourself, because it is a stepping over dollars to get the pennies kind of thing. Like, you know, right. Like it's like, I mean, who would want to just give a commission up? Why wouldn't I? I got my license. Why wouldn't I get a commission? It's counterintuitive. But when you really think about it and you understand, you'll go from writing tons of offers and not getting them accepted to writing tons of offers and getting some of them accepted, which makes a big difference. Then you're like, okay, forget that little commission. I'll make it up. I'll make a bigger commission on the back end and make some of this flip money.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as I guess that you guys are, you know, everybody's good. So that's my advice on it. If you guys have some other deals, you want to break them down, I hope that's helpful. As you get into module 3, you're going to figure out a lot of the details of how we do this and why we're able to have like really consistent results. We really focus on these things. The key to this whole relationship, you signing up for this mastermind, is that when you get a deal, feel free to bring it to me and feel free for us to break it down, because this won't take you long. If we do 10 of these together, you're going to think completely different. You're going to evolve into someone who sees things a lot clearer, a lot better. And it's going to help you be able to make quicker, faster decisions. And you'll feel comfortable not going in and saying, I need a contingency, because you'll know what you're looking at. You'll have comfort. Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you guys for sharing that with us. So if anybody else has any questions, it's on the call. I know, John, we talked with you, and then Carol's, we talked with both of you guys. And I see some random numbers, but I think that's actually just John's number.
Yep.
Maybe on red. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's good to go, man. I'm excited for you guys down there. That's a different market. I good luck on that offer if you're going to put it in, and I hope you get it, obviously. If not, just keep at it, and you'll know it's a numbers game. You're doing a great job of staying with this and continuing your offering. John, are you guys in the market for a new deal in the future?
Yeah. So as soon as I figure out what I'm doing, yes. Definitely.
Once you get this, you got to deal with this now. I like the way you're thinking. Figure out where you're going to go with this buyer, and then once you settle that, then you're going to be looking for some new stuff in the future, I guess.
Yeah, and there's something else in Gwen Oak that I'm listing in 2 weeks. So I'm trying to wrap those up and kind of almost start fresh with your new tools.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Whenever you're ready and you feel good that these are listed and done, then we'll work on you getting some mailers and getting some of the right leads coming to you. And obviously doing the same thing as the Carols are doing, just analyzing until you start to feel really good about, like, here's what we do, here's how we do it. And it'll get easy. This gets so easy over time. Like, half the people that aren't on the call right now are because they are doing deals, and they got this after a couple months of just routinely doing the same thing over and over. Yeah, the only thing is I lose people once they start doing deals, because they're all happy with deals, which is what we aspire. It's what I want for you guys in this group. I want you to be happy and then have all the things you came for. But, you can see the calls are getting lonely. So we got a bunch of new people that are joining too and are listening. So some are at work and don't have the ability to be on. And hopefully they'll join us when they get a chance. So, all right, guys, we'll have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. If you have any deals you want me to review on Tuesday, just feel free to email them over, anyone who's listening, and then we'll jump through and analyze them for you. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time today.
All right,
have a good day.
All right, see you guys.
All right, thank you.
See you later. Bye.